Texas Podcast Massacre contains spoilers and adult language. For more horror, visit us at our website at texaspodcastmassacre.com. This is Texas Podcast Massacre. With your hosts, Mitch, Nate, and Lisa.
Welcome to another episode of Texas Podcast Massacre, coming to you from Houston, Texas. I'm your host, Mitch, and with me, as always, is the Gomer Pyle. We have a lot to talk about this movie, but my co-host, Nate.
You got me.
Yes.
That's a phrase from this movie.
That is a phrase from this movie.
Yep.
Also, as always, we have our queen of unsuspecting victims, Lisa, joining us.
I'm scared this guy's still around, y'all.
He might be again.
I just don't know.
We are. So welcome to another episode of Texas Podcast Massacre, where each week we take a look at a different horror movie and debate a horror-related topic with our unsuspecting victim, who is someone who typically doesn't like horror films. Usually that's Lisa. Sometimes we bring a friend. And to wrap up our Unsolved May-Steries month, we're bringing longtime friend, good friend of ours, and frequent guest on the show, Kevin Castle. Welcome back, Kev.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me back. Good to be back.
Of course, man. We're excited. We finally forced Nate. I say we. I forced Nate to watch true crime horror films and indulge me on this. So we're ending it off with a bang with the Town That Dreaded Sundown, the original, not the remake.
Yes. Because
why would you watch that remake? There's
any remake from like 2005 to like 2015. It wasn't almost required to be terrible. I know, Kevin, we actually did the Friday the 13th one. That one was okay. That one was all right. But man, there was a lot of garbage remakes right at that time. Friday the 13th, My Bloody Valentine,
When a Stranger Calls.
All of those got remade during that time, and they were almost all terrible. So we got to go with the original for sure. So Mitch, I guess I'm the unsuspecting victim on this one, or is it still Lisa? I'm not sure. Lisa, what do you think?
I'm with you on this one.
Okay. Finally on the other side of the table here. Yeah.
So I'm just curious because Kev, didn't get to join us for all of Unsolved May-Steries. So the first one that we watched was Zodiac.
Oh, okay. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah, that one was probably the best of the three. And then last week was From Hell. So have you seen that one?
Johnny Depp? Yeah, didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agree. Yeah.
Very quick poll, because this is what we talked about last time. Did you prefer From Hell or Sleepy Hollow better of the two?
Me? Jeez, I didn't care for either one of them, to be honest with you. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Sleepy Hollow. But Zodiac, I thought was a very underrated film. I thought, and I actually usually recommend that when someone's like, anything. I'm like, you ever see Zodiac? I heard of it, but I never saw it. It's one of those films. You know what I mean? A lot of people did not see Zodiac, and I thought it was very good. And the fact that it's based on a true story is pretty. Skin curling, So I mean, that was a good one. But the one we're going to talk about now, I mean, I'm ready to rave about it because I think it's just ahead of its time and a really scary film, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We saved the best for last, and of course, Nate, this one took place about an hour and 10 minutes away from where I largely grew up. I was born in Baton Rouge. I lived there till like middle school, but then I moved to Shreveport and I went to college in North Louisiana area. So very familiar. In fact, to go home to see my mom, I drive through Lufkin, which makes a cameo in this. So
has anyone held you at gunpoint and told you to drive to Lufkin before, Mitch?
No one wants to go to Lufkin. But I understand why you'd have to hold someone at gunpoint to go to Lufkin, because you wouldn't go there voluntarily for any reason. Let me
apologize to our Lufkin listeners.
I remember seeing that underground film, The Society That Dreaded Lufkin.
Yeah, so. That's right.
Yes.
That
was a good one. That was a very frightening movie.
Actually, I've got no issues with the Lufkin. It's the people of Diboll that I have an issue with. I have personally funded half of the town of Diboll with speeding tickets, so you're welcome. Enjoy the Mitch. This is
your Idaho. This is your Idaho.
I think I've paid for like a wing of a library and part of the new courthouse.
Really? They got like it's like a speed trap area.
They walk. Look, you can go like 5 over, and they have a pamphlet created for you to explain how much you owe them and all that. Like They already have the pamphlet ready for you. They know what's up.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's where my brother also gets speeding tickets. So it must be just a
so it runs in the family. That's
it does. Nice. It runs is certain good. Yeah,
literally.
So we're gonna talk about that. First thing. So Kev, I know you have just kicked off your brand new podcast. So Castle and Chicky Podcast Adventures. I have not gotten a chance to listen to too much of it just yet. We've had some sick kids, but Nate, I know, has been listening to it and is a big fan.
Mitch, how have you not been all over this podcast? The first thing they do in their first episode is play Dokken.
And I subscribed.
You're all about Dokken.
And I subscribed as soon as I heard Dokken. I did not need to hear anything else, but I just haven't had a chance to listen. Look. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of cool pop culture stuff. You gotta be able to absorb all that and really take it in. I got kids running around screaming at me. Little Damien's trying to summon something or other. I got, you gotta find a space to be able to enjoy and relax and listen. So, but that man, when you have Dokken kicking off that was like your first episode. That's how you know it's a winner.
It was episode 1. We did a pilot episode called Meet the Host, like Meet the Parents, in case people weren't familiar with being from the wrestling community. Now, jumping into the entertainment and horror and comedy podcast realm. My co-host is very known on Twitter and Instagram. Is kind of a social media celeb of sorts, but never did a podcast before. So again, we did like a Meet the Host thing, which was really fun. We told stories about how we know each other. We're friends in real life. We go back about 20 years. Our brother used to play for me in the old club. My brother was in a known band here in New York, and that was a fun episode. Then our first episode was her birthday. It was her pick. We go like my pick, her pick, like every week to keep it fair and balanced between the hosts. And we like a lot of the same things, but she's a 30-something, I'm a 50-something. So we're coming from 2 different generations in a way, but she's very old school, very knowledgeable about horror. You guys will love it. We should even have her on the show one time. She'll blow your mind away with her horror knowledge is unbelievable. And she's a big Robert Englund fan and a huge Nightmare on Elm Street, to the point she has massive amounts of tattoos all about Nightmare on Elm Street all over her, and that's her thing. And so that was a no-brainer, and we got thousands of downloads. We were very happy with the results of that. I was blown away actually by the reaction to it and the response. I was like, I even asked the podcast carrier and the network that carries us in Rational Ways, I said, "You for real?" He goes, "Yeah, for real, I'll show you." I was like, wow, okay. It was like, so I think it was the subject matter. I'm not going to put it all on us as was such these, big attractions or draws yet in that community. But I think it was the subject matter because we went through the whole, franchise really. And we did it in under 2 hours, and we didn't even rush it. We just kind of paced it, and we talked about every movie, gave our pluses and minuses. We talked about the remake, which she did not like, and I did like.
You liked that?
Oh yeah, I did. I like Jackie Earle Haley. I thought Jackie Earle Haley did a good job. And I thought he was in a no-win situation.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
And she had liked him from the Watchmen, Jackie Earle Haley, as you know, great actor. And I just thought whoever played that, it could have been Robert Redford. It would have been a no-win situation.
I would have loved. I would have loved.
Yeah. So I mean, Nate, you said you've listened to it. So I mean, it's a lot of humor, and you could tell that we're friends the way you guys are real life friends. And I think that goes through, the audience picks up on that. And it was so many positive comments. We didn't have to delete anybody. We didn't have to say, oh, that was a fucked up comment. It was it was such a positive experience. I almost feel like I'm in a different profession than I was on the old podcast, because there's a lot of venom and vitriol thrown mine and Anthony's way on every episode. And I wasn't acclimated to everybody being so nice. And it was like, and especially, you guys know too, much like if you're a Trekkie or a Star Wars fan, you say the wrong thing, someone's going to take you to task, or you make a comment, or you don't get a date right or something. We kind of made sure we were right on point with release dates and how much money was made, because we knew the real diehards were going to take us to town on it. And you could say, well, anybody can research, but it is, you guys know the flow of a show and getting everything correct and not having to do it over and really doing a one take kind of thing. It's like, we don't like that part. Let's go back and do it again. For a new project, it was just a good experience, and we're having a lot of fun. And we just dropped our new episode before I came on the air. We just 9:30. The RoboCop episode just dropped tonight. So that's about RoboCop and the summer movies of 1987. So I think people will Jaws the Revenge and Fatal Attraction and everything that came out that summer of 87, which was a big month for movies. When you see what came out, you're like, holy shit, yeah, all those movies came out summer of 87. And we focus mostly on RoboCop franchise, the remake. Peter Weller, again, changing actors, which is never a good idea. But Peter Weller is also 73 years old, so you can't, sometimes, right? You guys know sometimes you can't go home again.
But the RoboCop remake was 2014, also, right?
He would have been in his late 60s. Yeah, I mean, he's not the same Peter Weller. A lot of people are not the same guy or girl they were 30 years ago. I think the public expects too much from everybody. But again, I'm having fun again. It's been a great time, and we're going to do an episode. You guys will appreciate. We're going to do a grunge era music episode. We're going to do an episode on thrash metal. We're going to do a death metal episode. We're going to do it's basically, sum it up. It's music, movies, classic TV shows. Our tagline is a show about back in the day and here and the now. So where we discuss modern as opposed to old school, and we counterpoint as someone who's a millennial and someone's from Generation X like myself. So it's a good dichotomy.
Well, for your if I can make a request for the grunge one. You got to do Temple of the Dog.
We're going to talk. We're going to break. That episode's going to have no time limit. It might even go 3 hours. And
yes,
we're going to cover everything. Even some of the from Screaming Trees. It's not just going to be about the big four. Alice in Chains, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam. Screaming Trees, Grunt Truck, Tad, all those bands like that from back.
Oh, that's okay.
So it's going to be. It's going to be in a couple of weeks. Yeah, we're going to do that in a couple of weeks. Next week we're doing Naked Gun. So that should be fun.
When you get to the new metal episode,
we're gonna do that too. Yeah.
Let me know, and I'm happy to get Nate to record a chocolate starfish drop, because he yells that at us and our friends all the time for no reason. He's
it's just sometimes.
Sometimes.
I heard they just got added to Lollapalooza today, right? The Limp Bizkit's gonna be on Lollapalooza.
Mitch is buying his ticket.
Oh, you know it. Lisa's buying her too. Look, did you hear that? She's like,
our favorite concert, surprisingly, was seeing Limp Bizkit. I did not think they were going to be great, but they were.
They came out. I remember everyone there was talking trash. Like, I'm gonna leave as soon as they I'm gonna leave. Like, everyone's trying to be real cool, and then the minute they came out and they started with My Way, everyone's like, nope, I'm here. Let's do that. And enemy just lost their mind. It was incredible.
It's like they're like Nickelback, right?
They're like the new metal
like
Nickelback.
Hates on Nickelback, but then like if you hear like a couple of Nickelback songs, a lot of people will be like, "Oh no, that was actually." I remember that being real good. Limp Bizkit is the same way, but you got Fred Durst, so that's a very polarizing.
They're a very polarizing band, much like they're in that realm of Kid Rock and just polarizing, where they're fans of diehards, and then their detractors are big time detractors. So again, it's a very polarizing. Some people would say Limp Bizkit's like the John Cena of bands, but I would say no. Cena had a little bit more staying power. Limp Bizkit had I think Limp Bizkit's time really was late 90s, early 2000s. I don't see them as, in the last 15 years, that music really wasn't relevant. You know what I mean? But early 2000s, late 90s, they had their day, definitely.
Oh yeah. As mentioned on the podcast, this is a long time ago, I had a girlfriend at the time give me a red New York Yankees hat. Unironically,
for real? Oh God!
I did wear briefly. So
did you really? Okay.
I don't think there's any photo evidence. Thank God.
That's the problem though. Once he got the hat, he dropped her. So he was just in it for the red hat. And once he got that, it was like, see ya, babe.
I did it all for the red hat.
Sawfish! They just drove off, just yelling it at people. Well, yeah, you can definitely check out. I think the podcast is pretty much anywhere you're listening.
It's
to
on
now, yeah,
Podbean, Spotify, Apple, Google, all the platforms that you find any standard or any podcast that you can find. We're on every platform pretty much.
Yeah, and what we need to give a shout out to. I don't think we've had a chance, but your brother I know started a new podcast a little while ago now. But Break the Apocalypse. Two folks that I think we talked to B Show Brian a good bit on Twitter and everything too. So check them out. That's also a very cool show.
Very good show. Very good show.
Yeah, definitely check out both.
Yeah, they talk more about they talk about society issues like stuff that's in the news, and they talk about movies and stuff. We're definitely different podcasts from us, but again, everyone's kind of got their own niche. But it's another very good podcast too. You know, it's interesting. Me and my brother really venturing outside the wrestling box, so to speak, and it's been it's good reactions, man. So we're really happy with it.
Nate, what I'm hearing is there's now a vacuum of wrestling dialogue that podcasting can be happening. What if you were always the unsuspecting victim? And we talked. Look, there were zombies on wrestling the other week.
What Kevin said about Limp Bizkit is very accurate for me. I know wrestling from 1999 to 2002. So
there you go. Wow, there you go.
If there is a very specific, if you want to talk about Al Snow, I can do that, no problem. But other than that, it could be challenging.
Well, yeah. So we may have to have an extra on the podcast. I may have to make Nate watch the zombie lumberjack match that just happened at the most recent pay-per-view.
Unappealing.
Oh, it's
unappealing.
It was totally to help. I guess it was cross promotional stuff with Batista's Army of the Dead that's coming out here in a couple weeks. We may have to have a special little extra thing we'll put on social media of Nate having to watch it and his reaction, because I'm thrilled to just see you react to it, because it is it is a feast.
How long is it?
Don't worry about that. It is a feast for the senses.
I'm in trouble.
Don't worry about it.
Look, most wrestling matches are like upward at most 20 minutes. I don't think they really ever.
Lisa's by giving me shit. She's like, I already watched this. Yeah. So you have to watch this. I'm assuming.
I've had to watch so much. You don't even know. Okay. I don't. So you can watch one match.
Okay, whatever. You enjoy seeing Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre walk out. So let's.
I like the last guy's last name.
This is true.
McIntyre.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a very big Drew McIntyre fan, Kev. I am.
Oh, really?
I'm not gonna lie.
Not at all about his wrestling. Nothing. Not her.
Did you get the new book that came out? He just put out an autobiography.
Oh my God.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it just came out.
Oh, wow. You just sold
going
the
on the list.
Nate's buying one. He's going to change his name, put a Y in there instead of the I.
There you go.
Yeah, nothing ruins WrestleMania faster than your wife and mom both like watching Drew McIntyre going, ooh, who's that? It's like, let's turn this off. Let's watch something else.
All right. This isn't like this one. There's not a lot of hot people in this movie. For sure.
I deal with that back in the 90s when The Rock came on TV, so I don't feel
All right. Well, look, we got to get into it. First, we're going to have a quick debate question.
Bid our father, the Sea King, rise from the depths full, foul in his fury. Black waves teeming with salt foam, to smother this young mouth with pungent slime.
So as I curated this month's movie selection for you, Nate, I really focused on actual true crime movies, and specifically ones where we didn't know the killer. Now there aren't that many of them. For the most part, most serial killer, most true crime ones, we do know who end up doing who done did it, as I often say.
Who done did
it? Now there were a few other horror or true crime movies that I want to kind of talk about, and I kind of want to. I'm curious if you've seen it, and then also what you, if you would have been interested in this. So I think. So there's one called An American Crime. So this is about a 16-year-old girl who was basically tortured and murdered by her guardian and several neighborhood children.
Bad start. Several neighborhood children.
I saw that film.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It is not fun.
Hard to watch. Hard to watch.
Hard to watch. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a merciful no from Lisa, right? Or does that sound up your alley?
Oh yeah, hell no.
Yeah, true story too. Very, very brutal. I think they downplayed it in the movie too. That's the sick part.
I know.
Oh God. Okay. Well, okay. I'm all right. Thank you for not picking that one. All right. What else we got?
So let's see. We actually did Murder by Numbers, and that actually is based on an actual case. So that one, we'd already done it, but that was originally.
Wait, what? We already did what?
Murder by Numbers. No, we didn't. Wait, Lisa. Never mind. We haven't. Lisa and I watched Murder by Numbers with my family recently. That's where I got confused. So Murder by Numbers is one that we were debating. That one has like Ryan Gosling in it. It's about a case of two privileged, I guess, like high school or college kids that they murder a younger boy in an attempt to make it like the perfect crime. I think Sandra Bullock's in it. Lisa,
oh my God.
Lisa,
it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good movie. A little bit more of a thriller, but yeah. Kev, have you seen that one?
Was the guy Michael Pitt in that movie? I think.
What's
his name? Yeah, the actor, young actor. Yeah, I think I seen that with two guys. Yeah, I see it with Sandra Bullock. I saw that. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one. So that one, I think you might have been a little bit more okay with. It doesn't come off as creepy or gross as the first one.
Okay, well that's good.
Let's see. I mean, we did Zodiac, obviously. I debated Winchester. Not that. I mean, the only thing with Winchester is that house is bizarre and doesn't make any sense. The movie's also terrible, so there was a part of me that really wanted to make you suffer through that. But then I realized I would have to suffer through it. Yeah.
Dame Helen Mirren.
But then I realized I would have to suffer through it. So that one did not make the cut.
I think so far you've not everything. You seem like you picked the best ones, which doesn't.
Yeah. Now the one that got bumped because of our 200th episode was The Sacrament. So that one was on the list up until you reminded me that our 200th episode happened and we did Troll 2. The Sacrament is a found. I did that
swap 100 out of 100 times.
It is a found footage horror film that is focusing on the. It's the 1978 Jonestown Massacre. So it's the grape Kool-Aid. It's Jim Jones. It's based very much on that.
Is it not that, but very influenced by it? Like basically in name, like not name only.
I believe like they changed some names, but it is like almost explicitly like that.
Okay.
Like it is almost exactly what happened.
Okay.
That one's an interesting film. Kev, I don't know if you've seen that one or not.
Which one was that again?
The Sacrament.
No, didn't see that.
Okay. Yeah. That one's, it's a better, admittedly, it's a better found footage movie than many other found footage. I think a lot of it because it wasn't, it's not supernatural, right? So the found footage really gives it that kind of authenticity. Whereas, a lot of the found footage stuff that mostly comes out usually has some supernatural element. So it's kind of like, okay, shaky camera, you're not really seeing anything. This, you see everything like perfectly. So it really helps to kind of give it that like true documentary feel. Let's see. The other one, I think the last one that I was debating, and this one is admittedly certainly not fun. I think it's like
certainly not fun.
Well, okay, so Nate, so you told me, hey, Mitch, it's Mother's Day, so let's see if we can find a true crime one with Mother's Day.
Then I backed out on that because I'm like, nothing good could come of that. No, at all.
Yeah, that was. So it's the Girl Next Door. Oh no, so the same one. So it's based on that same case that I mentioned a second ago.
American Crime and Girl Next Door, same concept film, different actors and different, little bit of a different plot line, but it's based on same true crime.
Yeah, the Girl Next Door, I think, is a lot worse to watch.
Oh, Jack Ketchum wrote the novel for it, and he's a very graphic in everything he does. So anything that has Jack Ketchum's name on it, is going to be hard to watch. And that they went one step extra with that. I matter of fact, I had to turn that off. I remember my girlfriend's like, I feel wrong for watching this movie. I'm like, yeah, me too. I don't want to watch it anymore because it got to the point of just insanity. You guys, I mean, you know the plot with the neighborhood kids being in on the sexual assault on the, and cheering, clapping. It was sick. I couldn't even watch. And knowing that it was real made me even more disturbed that it was kids. It was like a after school program or something. It was bizarre.
I thought you were talking about the Elisha Cuthbert movie. The girl next door. And I was like, did I?
No.
Yeah, right. No, you're right. There was.
I'm like, what? I don't remember that at all. But
horrible.
Yeah, this is
God. Okay,
it is same title, not anywhere the same movie.
This is the Jack Frost.
Good PSA.
Yeah.
Make sure Elisha Cuthbert's in the version of the girl next door you are trying to rent because you will have a bad time otherwise. It's rough. I mean. To some degree, a lot of the true crime movies, I think for your benefit is because we know who the killer was, or either kind of a documentary like biopic type of thing, or they're just like really disturbing because they of the crimes, right? The ones that we picked this month, we don't know who the killer is, so there's that mystery, and so there's a little bit more of that artistic license. When the ones where like explicitly the details and what happened. It gets very hostile very quick, and it's not enjoyable. I want y'all to suffer when you watch these terrible movies, but I don't want to ruin your life.
Like I was, you should be like bad. Just north of Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Yeah,
you don't want to be Poughkeepsie.
Like
tapes.
Lisa, I like none of them. Not a single one of them is unsuspecting victim friendly. Not. I mean,
oh God,
no. But it did bring me to another thing. I'm curious on y'all's thoughts of this. Okay, so let me ask you this question. So there are plenty of movies that while they're not specific to an actual true crime, they're very much inspired by them. So I'm thinking a movie like The Strangers, which was very much influenced by the Tate murders with Charlie Manson.
Right.
I'm thinking. I mean, even I think Scream was kind of largely based. Silence of the Lambs. Do y'all like those horror films that have that sort of real true, like whenever you see the based on a true story and it has that sort of true crime, not so much the supernatural ones, but the really ones that are just more the crime based one. How do those movies compare to the ones we watched this month? In terms of, I mean, do you like those better? Do you like more of the mystery when it comes to true crime type stuff? What do y'all think?
I think those are better. Like, I don't know. Was Last House on the Left based on anything?
I think Wes Craven based it on some news story, but I don't think it was any. I don't think anything specific.
Okay, and there was that other one with the girl who she's like in a cabin in the woods, but she's deaf. And there's
Hush. Yeah,
Hush.
Good movie.
That's a really good one too.
Great movie.
Yeah. So there's a few like. You think if I told someone this was based on true story, I'm pretty sure they'd be like, oh yeah, I could see that happening. But those are usually pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any of those that you thought? Lisa. So any of those that are there any of them that you actually thought were based on or are based on a true something?
Well, clearly, I thought Last House on the Left was.
There you go.
It feels very realistic when it's happening, and Last House on the Left. Ugh, yikes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand that. I guess and then they used to do that bullshit thing, like they used to like, oh, based on a true story, but like then it wasn't.
Right.
I don't like
right.
Movies used to do that. Like there used to be no rules whatsoever, right? Now you can't. You can't quite do that.
If you guys remember, I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre started out that it was a true story, but obviously it's based a very twisted story of Ed Gein. Yep. And it wasn't even in Texas, by the way. He was in Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously once you hear true story, once they even have that narrator or that voice come on, go following events are based by true story, it automatically gets you in a vibe, right? Like it says, like, okay, so almost you tell your brain everything I'm watching is true, but with a Hollywood twist. But this really happened. You almost tell yourself that. And actually, I think it brings more interest when you know it's true, because again, you know that these kind of things exist in life, though you never wanted to enter your life. To know that it happened to someone else's is like, whoa. That's like with Town That Dreaded Sundown, that narration. in the beginning of that movie, the following movie, like it's again in that old school kind of deep voice, scary kind of people used to do like the commercials back in the day. They get someone with a powerful voice where you're kind of listening. But yeah, I mean I think it just generates more interest and it makes you really think that, my God, this happened. Even again, as Hollywood takes liberties all the time, and it's never an fully accurate depiction. But again, I'll say this. That movie about that girl was abducted, and I believe it was in Indiana, right, Mitch? I think that was.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh no, Indiana.
Yeah, and I know. Nate said he went to college in Indiana. Yeah, it was in Indiana, and that I think might have been downplayed for the amount of damage that the people said was done to that girl over that period of time, and the wounds and cuts and burns. And so again, I'm my God, they downplayed the sexual assault. I was like, because if you guys remember that Jodie Foster movie, when she got raped on the pinball machine, that famous movie, The Accused, with Kelly McGill nominated for Academy Award back in '88. Again, these are based on, again, true stories, and you don't even know how far they'll go, because you're like, we're not going to, not even literally show everything, but even, did this actually is this many people? Did they actually cheer? Did they burn her with cigarettes? And sometimes it's, you read the real news story of it, it's actually worse. So I think, again, people are fascinated by evils in the world. They just want to make sure it never comes anywhere near their way.
Yeah.
They'll watch it, and it's not for entertainment. I think we watch this actually to remind us that what goes on in this world. You know what I mean? I don't think I certainly didn't watch The Accused for entertainment.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? It's almost like, it's a weird thing to say that, yeah, it was a great movie, I'm going to go see it again. Like, that's kind of weird to say that about a movie, right? But Town That Dreaded Sundown, I can say I've seen it about 10 times, but only because I just found the killer to be so frightening. And the guy doing the narration, who I think was Charles B. Pierce, who did Legend of Boggy Creek, one of my favorite indie films of all time, just did such a great job with it, and with so little, and you guys saw the budget for that. It was like, I think we could have put our money together and did that film. You know what I'm saying? I mean, right, seriously, I mean, I think any average guy or any average woman could pull up enough money and do a Town That Dreaded Sundown. And the money it made in return was unbelievable. Same thing with Boggy Creek. Done for a dime on a dollar, and they made millions. Yep. So great job. And again, it's the mood, the math, and we could talk about, we'll get into the film and talk about a certain franchise kind of ripping off that look a few years later, bag overhead, which went on to be way bigger than anything Charles B. Pierce ever did. But we all know there's originators who never really got their due. And that's what I like about shows like this. And even what we're doing is, maybe talking about some of those films that maybe were not the Nightmare on Elm Street, or were not the, Halloween, but they, like Black Christmas, but they certainly started something, and they certainly should get credit. So that's why anytime you guys talk about, we're going to talk about something like this, I'm in,
Yeah, I mean, this movie very influential. We see that. I guess.
Oh yeah.
Mitch, to answer yours, for me, I mean, one time we had car trouble driving down south from Purdue to Florida, and the first thing I thought of was Deliverance. I'm like, if you told me Deliverance was a true story, I would have 100% believed you.
That's every weekend, I think. Deliverance.
I watched Deliverance right before we did that drive too, and then all of a sudden, like, we drove over a bunch of water and our car was sputtering. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? This is terrible. Yeah. I
told the story. Absolutely, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a true story. It just happened in Louisiana, where that dude with no legs and the 4x4 that rode up to me lives. So that's that. I think, and whoever sent us the voicemail,
have all your fingers.
Whoever sent us the voicemail asking us to get that person on the show, kiss my ass.
Get him on the show. No. You're gonna get like that coach guy from Waterboy. He's not even gonna understand it.
Farmer Fran, I know. Right?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Oh, great. I mean, he told me to go one way, and I went the opposite because I've seen those movies. What I really like about this movie, and particularly about the Phantom, which is the killer in this movie, is that I think between him and Ed Gein, how many horror movies have they effectively inspired?
Ed Gein is like a whole cottage industry.
Well, Ed Gein is he's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he's Buffalo Bill, he's Norman Bates, he's who else does he inspire?
I think there's a few more slashers.
There's a few
now. They don't even abstract it. There's like 100 Zac Efron movies about Ted Bundy. Like at this point, they're not even abstracting it.
The sad part is Ed never really got to enjoy that money.
Need a lot of more skin lamps. To really furnish the house.
Look, all I'm saying is if Etsy were around when Ed Gein was alive.
Oh God, that's great.
Well, and on that note, I'm excited. I'm ready to get into this week's movie of the week, The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Samuel P. Fuller, age 24. Linda Mae Jenkins, age 19. Brutally attacked March 3rd, 1946. Howard W. Turner, 29. Emma Lou Cook, 17. Bodies discovered in a wooded area on March 24th. Roy Allen, 17. Peggy Loomis, 15. Both found dead April 14th in Spring Lake Park. Floyd Reed, age 34. Murdered in his home on May 3rd. Mrs. Reed shot twice, but survived. This man's identity is unknown. He was believed to be between 30 and 40 years old. He wore a white hood and was known only as the Phantom Killer. World War II had just ended. In Texarkana, Arkansas, boys had come home to their families. Husbands reunited with their wives. It was a happy, peaceful time. Until the Phantom Killer struck. For 4 months, he held an entire city in the icy grip of terror. Now, Charles B. Pierce brings this incredible, shocking, and true story to the screen in The Town That Dreaded Sundown, starring Academy Award winner Ben Johnson as Captain J.D. Morales of the Texas Rangers.
We got a cold-blooded killer here. A man who nobody sees. A phantom who, so far, hasn't made any mistakes.
Andrew Prine as Deputy Norman Ramsey of the Texarkana Sheriff's Department.
The only thing we really do know is that we've got a very strange person on our hands.
The Town That Dreaded Sundown. One of the first slasher movies, except he uses a gun for a lot of it.
Or a trombone.
We'll or a trombone.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't know if he was in the marching band or not.
Lisa, you were in band, right?
No, orchestra.
Oh, orchestra. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lisa plays the ball like the grand piano. I don't think you can walk with that very. It's kind of hard to move around the football field at halftime.
You were ahead of the game, Lisa. It's hard to sneak up on someone with the piano. So that's good.
I think Hausu figured that out, but that's for a different episode.
That is a later episode.
Now, Lisa, as our unsuspecting victim, what is this movie about?
It's about a serial killer in Texarkana that's never caught, and just craziness.
Okay, just craziness.
Just crazy.
And some very, very oddly placed laughs.
Yeah, there's some comedic elements that really help break the tension. Whether they meant to or not, I'm not quite 100% sure, but there are parts of them like, is this like a different cut?
He did that in Boggy. He did that. Charles B. Pierce does that. He did that in Boggy Creek too. He did that as well in Boggy Creek with some.
Well, Lisa, and do you know, Charles B. Pierce is the director of this. He was, I'm assuming, everyone's favorite character, Patrolman Benson, the inept cop, was the director himself. I don't know if you know that or not.
No.
Yes, that was him. So,
are you serious?
Yeah, he is.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
Yeah, so he made himself the laughing stock of the movie because we'll get into this like Arkansas Drift driving that happens in the movie too. But yeah, he's kind of the comic relief in his own movie, which is kind of hilarious. All right, so let me get into it. So this movie released December 24th, 1976. Tight 90 minutes. You can check it out on Amazon Prime Video. It is not part of the Naturian collection. This movie is yet. That's true. I might get the Blu-ray on this. The rating, it's an old movie, so it's approved. That's right. It was approved to be released. Tagline for this one, not everyone who comes to this lover's lane has the same thing on their mind. That's a great tagline.
That is a great tagline.
That's one of the best taglines you've ever heard. And then also a true tale of Texarkana terror. That just rolls off the tongue. So the movie, as Kevin mentioned, was made for only $400,000. The Legend of Boggy Creek was made for only $100,000.
Amazing,
which is amazing. So that one was made for $100,000 and made $25 million. One of the highest grossing movies of the year. And this is again in the time of drive-ins, right? So this is just kind of doing a regional drive-in rollout, right? Getting distribution as you sell out kind of local areas, right? Which they did in Texarkana. This movie, they sold out theater in Texarkana, lines around the block, eventually got a distributor, sold it around, ended up making $5 million, which is a good amount for an independent film at that time, based
So that line at the very end, this isn't giving anything away. The line at the very end was for the premiere, right?
Which line?
At the very end, there's like people lined up down the block.
Oh, that could... I don't know. That's a good question.
Nate, did you watch the movie?
I did watch it. I remember the very last scene.
Nate turned it off. He's like, they didn't find him. Turn it off.
They never got him.
They didn't.
And in terms of franchises, there was it was supposed to originally be a remake, but it ended up being a sequel, The Town That Dreaded Sundown 2014.
Right.
This is a Blumhouse production joint. Was supposed to go in the theaters, never did. So it was only a VOD movie. I think it had a very limited theatrical release, like very limited. Probably only Texarkana, to be honest. Maybe that was where all that money came from.
Yeah.
But so only a VOD movie. So it didn't really get the treatment that even the other not as good remakes got, unfortunately. The director, as I mentioned, Charles B. Pierce, was born in Hammond, Indiana, which is near where I grew up. Then moved to Hamilton, Arkansas, which is about 2 hours away from Texarkana. Worked in, and I have to make sure I get this list right here. But he worked as a set decorator, and he worked on kind of local television for a while. Some of the movies that he did set decoration on, the Pam Grier classic Coffee.
The
other blaxploitation movie with Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon, Black Belt Jones, The Outlaw Josie Wales.
Yes.
All kinds of stuff. He helped write the fourth Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry movie, Sudden Impact. He was doing other stuff throughout his career, even while he was directing things, which gave him the nickname Sparkplug, which he used in this movie. So it's semi-autobiographical. It's using people from Texarkana, and you can tell the variety of and quality of different actors and actresses in this movie really fluctuates depending on which character you have, because a lot of the people were just locals, Texarkana. So, not maybe necessarily a huge acting scene there, but, got a lot of people in there. The narrator for this and Boggy Creek is Vern Stearman. The only reason I mention him because he died in Shreveport, Louisiana, where Mitch is from. So I had to throw that out. The Shreveport connection is strong. It is mentioned in this movie, even Shreveport, and Mitch was right near a serial killer the whole time. Didn't even know it. The main actor, I guess, in this one is Ben Johnson. He plays Texas Ranger who can't solve anything. Captain Morales. He was in some actually really good movies. He was in The Wild Bunch. He was in The Last Picture Show and The Getaway, all like instant classic films. And then toward the end of his career, he got in one of Mitch's favorite movies, Angels in the Outfield.
You know it.
I know.
That's where I know him from.
I knew you might get that one, Lisa. No problem. I had to make sure to throw that one in. He was also in Red Dawn and Terror Train. So those are all the ones I had on my list. There's some other actors and actresses in here. One of the ones you might have noticed was Dawn Wells, who is Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island.
Yes.
She has like third billing in the movie. We showed in the movie for about, 10 minutes. She took a 2-bullet tour in this movie, but did make it out in the end, like Gilligan's Island. So there's that. And then the last person I would mention is Andrew Prine. He ended up being in a lot of stuff, but he's the deputy, probably the most competent of the local policemen. He's Deputy Norman Ramsey. He was in, I can't believe that I didn't know that this existed, but he was in Grizzly in the same year. That's another horror film, a little bit different take on that. He was in a TV episode of Kolchak the Night Stalker. I'm just gonna make a plug. Kolchak the Night Stalker is amazing. Everyone watch Kolchak.
Great series.
Everyone watch that and watch the movies also, because they are all fantastic. But there was a TV series in 1978 called The Oregon Trail. I did not realize that was a TV show, and he was in it. So there's that. He was in basically.
Did he die of dysentery though?
I do not know. He was in. He died fording the river. Well, he clearly couldn't drive in this movie either. So maybe if he was trying to get get some oxen across, probably wouldn't have worked. He was in basically all of the TV shows for a couple episodes in the 80s. And it ended up with his second to last movie being the Reverend in Mitch's favorite movie, The Lords of Salem.
You know what? I had this feeling that our listeners have either no idea what movies I actually do like, because none of these
they're
movies,
all your favorites.
They're all
your favorites. That was one of his last movies. So that was, that's a very Rob Zombie move to grab, some person from The Town That Dreaded Sundown and put him in their movie.
Of course.
35 years later. So there's that. I got to mention another movie. So I had forgotten. I had actually seen one other movie by this person. Of course, it wasn't. I guess I'd seen The Legend of Boggy Creek also. But there's another movie that he did called The Evictors from the late 70s that features Jessica Harper, which most people will know as Susie Bannion from Suspiria.
Right.
And I remember thinking that movie was actually pretty solid. So that's another recommendation one. That one is a small town Louisiana murder attack based movie. So very thematic, probably a great double feature to do. So yeah, there you go. That's that. And there's so much more about this person. I cannot believe I hadn't looked into him before, but man, this guy is Mr. Filmmaking Arkansas. I know it's a very niche area, but this guy, they literally named the award after him, like Arkansas, like film thing. They're like, this guy is everything to us, and really kind of one of the originators of like low budget independent horror directing, like very low budget. So this guy's awesome.
Oh, that's God's country right there for you, Nate.
That's it. That's it. I actually drove through Texarkana in January of this year, so I didn't realize that I was passing by some serial murderers, but apparently
did they make you go through Lufkin? I think that's
I did not go through Lufkin, no. Mercifully.
Yeah. So in doing my own research for this episode, Nate, I asked my mom about what she thought about the movie, and she said, "I'm not that old, bitch." And then I am now going to have to owe her a second Mother's Day gift.
This is from 1946.
Well, okay, I know. I was thinking. I was in my head. I was like, "Oh, the movie came out in '76." I forgot that the crimes happened much earlier. I was trying to ask her about the movie, but she thought I was talking about the crimes. She's like, "I'm not that old. What's wrong with you?" So, that was fun. No, but my brother, I remember he told me, I was talking to him about the episode today earlier, and he was mentioning that he had seen it as a kid because he was born just a little bit before this. So he'd seen it a few years after. And he was like, this movie scared the crap out of him and his friends because they're like, oh God, this is like right nearby. They don't know where this dude is, or who he is. Yeah, it's an interesting film, right? And what I really like about it is, unlike so many other slasher films and the ones that sort of came after this, every slasher sort of has this whole like almost invincible sort of like stalkery, like they move so fluidly, right? They're like just perfect killing machines. This dude, like when he's moving around, he's moving around like a normal, like he looks like a very normal person just trying to kill people.
This guy's doing like a side to side shuffle, like he's guarding someone in basketball behind the car so no one can see him.
Hey, basketball, big in Texarkana.
It's a more of a football town, I would have guessed. So Lisa, what'd you think of this killer? What, seemed fallible more maybe than other ones, especially at the end. But what did you think about the killer? Was it scary, hokey? What did you think?
So I wasn't as scared until he attacked them in their house. The second that he started attacking someone in their house, I was like, oh, this guy has just escalated. This is terrifying. Because it's one thing to be like, all right, don't go out on these lonely roads by yourself in the middle of the night. I mean, with a boyfriend or girlfriend in the middle of the night, like just stay home. But then you're home, like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and he still comes after you. So that's when it turned, and I was like, yeah, this guy's really creepy.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of this movie and in Zodiac is basically like a Netflix ad. It's like, hey, you know where this won't happen? If you're Netflix and chilling, this will not happen to you. So it's basically a Netflix ad. So Kevin, I'm assuming you were 8 years old. You went to the theater and watched this based on the previous conversation.
Oh no, I didn't see it.
But I know you saw this early on. I mean, what was the feeling of The Town That Dreaded Sundown? When you saw it, and was it revolutionary-ish? Texas Chainsaw had just come out a little before then, Black Christmas, but it was one of the early kind of proto progenitor slashers. What did you think of it when you saw it originally?
Well, it came out in '76. I didn't, even though I did go to see that year or close to it, Food of the Gods. And we saw Legend of Bigfoot and a couple other things. That was one, and we saw Squirm that year, but about the earthworms or killer earthworms. And we saw another movie called Frogs, I think the next year.
Oh, I love Frogs. Yeah. I want to put that in our
Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott was in that. Yeah. But I don't remember. We didn't go see Town That Dreaded Sundown. I think my father probably uses judgment on that. There was no monsters or anything or any killer animals. I think that might have been my father avoiding taking us to see that one. So I remember seeing the Town That Dreaded Sundown probably in 78 or 79 on late night television on syndicated channel here in New York, either PIX or Channel 9. Just late at night. I think we might have been up watching Saturday Night Live or something at the time. And that's when John Belushi and Bill Murray and all the All-Star cast were on in the late 70s. And maybe even trying tuning into wrestling like in 79. I just remember coming across The Town That Dreaded Sundown just from the title. And then I remember even it was one of the kill scenes where the guy was shooting the guy that was on the ground and going after his girlfriend, then did the trumpet thing. I don't know if they showed that on television. We watched it on a black and white, but I just remember with the guy over the hood over his head, and it was scary. I was maybe 9-10 years old at the time, but I remember seeing it on TV late 70s. Then in the early 80s, when I was old enough, 14, 15, 16, to rent videos, I rented it in the local video store, and got to see it on VHS. And that's why I saw the whole movie for the first time, probably 83, 84, in my early teen years. So I just remember the guy, and at that point, Friday the 13th 2 had come out in 81 with the guy with the sack over his head. But I remembered from the 70s, this guy had the same look, and we'll get into that, obviously, of the sack over his head. And Jason on 81 had the sack over his head. That's what I remember. I remember watching my friends ripping off Friday the 13th. I'm like, no, I think Friday the 13th ripped them off. This movie came out all those years ago. And I remember even as young teens, freshmen, sophomores in high school, we were debating who ripped off whom. And I'm like, it's a no-brainer. The one that came first is the one that got ripped off. That's stupid. That doesn't even make any sense. I remember even getting on one of my friends questioning that he graduated school because he was so dumb. Because I'm like, if something came beforehand, how does that copy the other thing? Doesn't even make sense, bro. And I remember the argument in my house about it. And it was just so fun. Well, whatever, it looks like Friday the 13th. I'm like, well, maybe Friday the 13th looks like that. So
maybe he was talking about Friday the 13th, the book. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, again, the sack over the head. And I'll say this, the guy, the actor Bud Davis, who played the Phantom, boy, it wasn't just listen, you can say this about a lot of things. Just throw a mask over somebody. Hey, who played the zombie? Just throw some makeup on this guy, make him walk weird and drool out of his mouth. But it does take the eyes and the projection of frightening. This guy, Bud Davis, had that crazy eyes thing down packed. You guys saw some of those close-ups when they focused, and his breathing was freaking me out. I mean, even to this day, you guys see when he sucks in the
the breathing.
The breathing thing was bothering because he's standing still and he's breathing heavy. So it was just bothering me. And he's wearing a denim jacket and denim pants. He's wearing leaves and a denim jacket. it's just a creepy look. And as Lisa said, once you bring it to a home and a home invasion, it becomes far more frightening because, right, you're in a car, you're vulnerable, you're out and about on the town, you're not near your home. Home is where you're supposed to be safe. And that's why home invasion movies like The Strangers and Desperate Hours and films like that are frightening, Wolves at the Door. Because it happens and it's real. The Charles Manson thing really happened. And that invaded a celebrity's house who should have had top security. That never should have went to happen like that. So how us regular people, we're vulnerable too. Even though in technology today, there's a lot less home invasions because of cameras and alarm systems and triggers and lighting. So obviously a lot less home invasions. But back then in the 70s, they didn't even call it home invasions back then. They just called it basically a B&E, a breaking and entering. But to know that guy was going to come in the house and it was such a rural area, and that woman, if you saw Dawn Wells, who got shot, that was real, got shot in the face twice. That happened to that actual woman, and she was stumbling about, and he was in pursuit of her. That was frightening. To this day, it still frightens me. And him, that breathing, and his eyes were like crazy wide open. They must have told that guy, open your eyes as wide as you can open them, and just like look infuriated. And he looked infuriated, and heavy breathing freaked me the fuck out. So in fact, I thought he was scarier than Jason was in that mask wearing the overalls. You know what I'm saying? I would have been more scared of the Phantom Killer. And the fact that he was using a gun, another thing. We always think a knife, strangulation, piano wire, a sword. He's using a fucking gun, and you can run all you want. And if he's even 20 feet from you, he can get you. With a knife, he's got to come up close to get you. A gun, he can just cut you down right there in the house. Shot the guy in the back of the head. Again, that reenactment of that living room scene with Dawn Wells and her husband was legit. Shot the husband in the back of the head and did shoot the lady in the face twice. That did happen.
Yeah, and this guy's using the combo weapons. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
That's interesting about the gun, because I almost wonder if it's a very horror movie thing. Most of these serial killers, Jason, Freddy, they don't use guns. Leprechaun. They use everything else, right? So it was shocking to me watching Zodiac. Be quiet, Nate. Watching Zodiac and watching Town That Dreaded Sundown. And they both, for the majority of the kills, it's a gun. And I don't know why in my mind I never thought a serial killer could just use a gun. Like, to me, that's even more terrifying, because it's not even that up close and personal like I normally think of serial killers, right? It's like, so like you just pick anybody. They're just literally just want to kill somebody. It's crazy.
It's a lot more like they'll say a knife kill. Like you guys have heard this before. Is a lot more personal. Because you have to get up and you really have to commit. A gun, you can 10 feet away. If you're a good shot, 50 feet away. You know what I'm saying? So again, a gun is more, we always even say, stab somebody is so personal. It's such a personal, thing to do. And even the degrees of like when you commit assault or a felonious assault or whatever with a gun. But a gun to me is as frightening. We don't see it that way. But I guess because, again, the depiction of a gun is, heroes have guns. Not too many heroes carry switchblades. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like if you carry, like this, people carry knives to defend themselves. They live in bad neighborhoods, whatever. But the last thing a good person wants to do, right, is stab another human being. The last thing a good person wants to do. A bad person doesn't care how they harm you as long as they get what you have, what they want. Or if they're just trying to take your life, they'll do whatever it takes. But I always, at least like you were saying, like the gun thing with Zodiac and Town That Dreaded Sundown, it's almost like, wow, yeah, it could be a slasher movie and you can use a gun and it could still be that kind of movie because, again, it's a murder and it's the ultimate crime. But for some reason, we depict all these kind of using a knife or cutting somebody or slashing a throat or doing something like that. But the gun to me is just as frightening. In this movie, because I remember having a debate with somebody about that, isn't it weird that the Phantom Killer never stabbed anybody? Now, because we can get to this, I don't know if you guys wanted to go so cool, we can just jump around a little bit maybe. With that scene, and I know we're going to talk about it, with the trumpet and putting the knife on it, that didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah. That was, the trombone. Knife stab. Yeah.
The knife bone. Yeah, that did not happen. And that was I always, and Charles B. Pierce died a long time ago. And I wish he was around and did the conventions junket. He never really lived to do that. Go around to horror convention stuff and ask him, like, what was that, to like just get that moment in the movie where people can talk about that crazy kill scene? Was that what it was about? Like, why that? I didn't get that part. I didn't understand it. Did you guys understand why he went, like, that trombone kill with the knife and stab and playing the trombone, blowing the trombone? I mean, it was unique, but what was the point of that? I just didn't understand it. Because that girl was actually shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it was just to, probably just to me, it was always just to add more.
Horror,
more to him being more
terror,
just a psycho, like like more evil individual versus someone that I think, when you really look at like the actual crime stuff, right? Like, it's a lot more of a compulsion that he's having to kill these folks the way he is with the gun and everything, right? I think this is trying to give him that more evil, like really beef up the evilness of his character.
Right. And that's what I'm thinking is, like, isn't it funny how the depiction of, make it more personal, make him like almost like, it's almost like in a sexual way, he's thrusting the knife into her. It's almost like a sexual assault. That's what I'm picturing them doing. Cause they're like, yeah, the gun thing, but after a while he's just shooting people. We got to amp it up here a little bit. I can imagine that's probably what went on the set. It's like, he's just shooting people, but isn't that terrifying enough that he's killing?
Shooting is worse than stabbing because when you shoot somebody, the chance of you dying is way higher. Like, a lot of people got stabbed in this, and what happened in real life, and same thing with Zodiac. Yeah. When you get stabbed a bunch of times, you can survive that.
You can live. If it doesn't hit a major artery.
Shot a bunch of times. I mean, like, I'm not Marlon Brando in The Godfather. If you get shot like 5 times in the back, you're basically dead.
Are you sure?
You're basically, a lot of similarities between him and I, but in general,
is true. The hair, definitely the hair.
Exactly. No, but yeah, I mean, if you get shot 5 times, you're done. If you get stabbed 5 times, you might pull out of it, right? So, yeah, I mean, the gun is scarier to me, and then the escalation in this movie, that's what made it crazy, is that the police were kind of stymieing this guy in the movie, at least, right? And so that he had to escalate. Like, I'm just going to go to someone's house now because they're patrolling all of the areas. I mean, it was the tension was there. I just got to tell PSA for everybody: if you're going to make out in a car, lock the doors. Can we? I mean, come on. Okay, is this is amateur hour here? Can you lock the doors?
He busted out the windows though too. It's yes, you should at the same time.
Yeah, but the guy trying to drive away, his car door is open. And let me talk about the driving in this movie. This is most of my notes. The people in this movie can't drive for shit.
Hey, Nate,
no one.
You live in Houston. No one can still drive for shit here. So,
Jesus Christ.
No, I mean, look, the driving in this is some Arkansas drift here, because everyone is just flying off the road. The one sheriff in like the mud,
because
when he hears the gunshots,
off-roading. No one stays on the road in this movie.
Look.
Maybe because at the time the windshield wipers were probably the smallest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've forgotten how small windshield wipers were in old cars. These people cannot stay on the road. You got the director of the movie just fucking pulling a Michael Scott from The Office, just driving right into the water. Or Michael Scott pulled this. Maybe that was another influence.
Half of this movie soundtrack could have been the Benny Hill music.
It could have. The people driving in this could not. I mean, the one guy he's driving in a car. The guy's hanging off. And it's some great stunt work, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, the stunt people were like, "Hey, if you get run over, that's on you." So like, you really gotta, watch out. He pulls the guy out of the car while it's moving. I mean, you should be able to get away from that. And then I had to write this down. Lisa, you love this, but when the girl's trying to run away, she's in that whole dress get up because they had a dance, right? And then my wife just says, "That's why you wear flats."
At least bring them with you.
Yeah, that's why you wear flats. That's another recommendation.
The one true thing is, one of the girls that he did kill was coming from playing in the band, but they said she didn't play the trombone. She played some other instrument. It might have been the piano, as a matter of fact.
The piano kill. I'm still waiting on that piano kill.
It might have been the piano. I think it was. She did play in band, and she had done what do you call it? One of those showcase kind of things for school. And she was coming from that, but they amped it up a little bit. Give her the issue, take it with her, and we'll make it into the weapon that kills her. So they definitely played with that a little bit. And it's, I think the whole thing, and us growing up, and you know, maybe you guys we're in a little bit more rural areas growing up, but obviously, you know, here in the city, everybody's on top of each other. But we had, as you guys know, a famous serial killer in New York in the 1970s who shot people, the Son of Sam, David Berkowitz. Sure. Okay. Yeah. There's a special on him now, I think on Netflix or Hulu, a series.
You know, Mitch has watched it.
Oh, okay. There's a new one. And and it was interesting because he was going looking for people on quote unquote Lover's Lane. And here in New York, Lover's Lane is basically on a street block with a lot of other cars on it. And people just are not paying attention to who's in a car making out. But it's not any kind of privacy at all. That was a very 70s thing. Find a street that's somewhat dimly lit, that you could find a parking space and hang out with your girlfriend there and have some private time, because everybody lived with their families. Nobody had their own apartment. So that was basically, you know, they couldn't go to a motel. They stay in a parked car. But it was a pretty bustling area. So that was the crazy thing, that Son of Sam got away with that. You know, it wasn't like in countryside, like with this guy in this thing. You see these people are sitting ducks. There's not a house for miles around. How are they going to get away? So there's a housing project right across the street where David Berkowitz shot most of his people. There's could have been 50,000 witnesses. That's why it was bizarre. It took them a year to catch this guy. And it never caught, as we know, they never caught the Phantom Killer.
That's why what you described, I'm way more scared of rural.
You have to be. Yeah, how can you not be?
I mean, I grew up in a pretty. I grew up near Chicago, but in a smaller area around there. Yeah, and the cornfields around and stuff like that. I mean, Jesus Christ! I mean,
that's why you don't go to Lovers Lanes. You do it.
You never do that.
You do it in a bright ass Walmart parking lot, like God intended.
Back in the 70s in New York, it was in a Sears and Roebuck parking lot.
That's so crazy. I mean, why would you give the details of you and Lisa's first date?
A Wawa they can go hang out.
That wasn't me, Nate. So that's even weirder.
Oh, that's even worse. That is even worse.
So
Lisa's like HEB parking lot or bust on that one.
Hey, well, you know, HEB, they probably run shit out for you too. You know, you could
probably
help get you rehydrated. So it was a saxophone was the instrument. So a little harder to attach a knife.
You're thinking Lisa Simpson.
Yeah, that's really
exactly. To Lisa Simpson. Gotta get the trombone.
But it was at like a VFW thing. She had the gig.
Okay.
But no, you know, and I was also struck this time too, just how similar the two killers between Zodiac and the Phantom really.
Zodiac ripped it off. Ripped this one off.
Yeah, I mean, now there are some people that think it's the same person. I don't think so. The cases are way too different. They're just, you know, the fact that he just wore a mask and shot people isn't really enough of a common denominator.
It could be influence, but you got to remember, I mean, outside of seeing a movie, very rare in the 70s that someone from New York can get a Chicago paper, you know, and see what's going on. And honestly, you needed relatives to live in neighboring states to know what was going on. You didn't get in New York, we got news about maybe Jersey and maybe Philly. We had no idea what was going on in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, why would we know what was going on in the Midwest? And same thing for probably you guys in Texas in the 70s. You didn't know what. So how's New York? That's would be like, how's it going? I don't really hear anything about it outside of watching a Yankee game. I don't really know what's going on over there. But today you could find out what's going on in everybody's town.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so let's get into the kills here. So, Lisa, which favorite kill, least favorite kill?
I hate that question.
I know, sorry.
I know, it's weird, right?
What was the scariest kill? How about that? Which one's scary?
I told you the home invasion.
Home invasion is by far the scariest. I mean, the guy's just reading the paper or whatever. I mean, this is another look. Lock your doors, Netflix and chill. Wear flats.
This is every
down your
boyfriend.
Shades. Put your shades down.
Every boyfriend or husband or partner has been through this moment, because Mitch has been through this moment. When I heard something, I said, "Get up and go look."
Like, oh, cool. This is how I die. Awesome. like when you're told to go, So we for a while there, our garage door open, our door would sometimes blow open with the wind. It wasn't catching right until I recently fixed it. And so we did a strong gust of wind and open, the alarm would go off. And Lisa's like, you need to go check it. I'm like, the hell I do? I'm calling the cops. They come check it. Like, that's how you get killed. You just, when you're walking out there, like in your underwear, holding like a stick or something, whatever you grab, you're like, this is how I'm gonna die. This is how they're gonna like talk about me.
I'm gonna die with one hand on a spatula and like another hand on my cell phone. Like that's it. That's all I got.
The flashlight, like a like a roller pin.
Throw your phone at him, like you just throw your phone at him and run the other direction.
Right,
it's probably a good move.
I agree. I mean, the house scene is terrifying.
No, Lisa watched this movie and is like, this is an instruction guide. Like the husband goes down first. I might still have a chance, right after they circle around. Is that it, Lisa?
Yes.
we got the admission. All right.
My brother used to say he never wanted his kids to learn how to play an instrument you could walk with. He has a very strong opinion about band for some reason.
Oh wow.
But
you can't walk with?
Yeah, like guitar is fine, but I think he's like nothing you can like no instrument you can be in a marching band with. I would really limit that to just no instrument that you could effectively get a knife put on and stabbed with. I think that would, you just don't want to carry that around with you.
So no bayonets.
Yeah, no bayonets, none of that baton.
No flutes.
No baton. Yeah, no flutes. No baton twirling.
Flute, you're putting like darts in. Like you're gonna you can blow up.
I do.
I don't know.
This movie does make me want to see like a band massacre murder, like where he's just like killing them with all the like the symbol just has like he adds razor blades to him and just starts going. I mean, I want to see that's a different movie, but I would love to see that one.
So Kevin, what was your favorite kill? Maybe minus the trombone.
Maybe we need to workshop this favorite kill, Nate. I'm getting the sense that we need to workshop this term.
I think obviously he didn't kill the Dawn Wells, the woman character who he shot in the face. He didn't kill her, but that was probably the home invasion thing was frightening because, like I said, he was right up in the door. When he was in the window behind the husband, shot him in the head. That was pretty scary. But I think the kickoff to the whole kills of the first people in the car that he attacked was just really dragging the girl out of the car. It was pretty brutal. But I'm going to go with just, again, sitting at home where you feel like you can relax and you're not on your guard. I agree with Lisa. It's a frightening notion because I think that puts much more reality to it because you can avoid going to love it. You don't have to go there. Yeah, you can't, sitting in a chair reading a paper, you should think you're going to get through the night. You know what I mean? It's you shouldn't have to, should I, I'm too close to the window. I feel like a bullet could come through my head. You shouldn't have to feel like that. But I think, again, that vulnerability is what you remember. And it can actually give you pause to think about that when you may be sitting in a chair near a window and go, the Town That Dreaded Sundown. The guy was sitting while reading the paper. This is kind of weird. So I've done that too with movies where I look back and I see scenes that, again, like The Strangers, where Liv Tyler turned around and the guy with the sack over his head came into camera view, and there was that dark. There was no lighting there, and they just faded out. And I've done that in my own apartment where I'm like, I feel like my apartment is dimly lit, and I'm a pretty big guy, but and I feel the same way. I'm like, I ain't gonna have any Strangers episode here. I'm lighting up this apartment. So again, I think it's the vulnerability stuff is always memorable. I know of shocking kills are memorable too, but I'll go with the guy just reading his paper who gets 2 in the back of the head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the ladies, put their arms around the tree. Like first time you saw that, you're like, oh, what was this? That sucked. That man.
So let me ask you this, because I don't know if they mentioned this in any of the theories. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But I was thinking the 21-day cycle, the bite marks. Did this guy think he was a werewolf?
So the actual crimes are considered the Texarkana moonlight murders. They correspond to closer to when there's like full moons out. So,
interesting.
So the moon was a component. I don't know about necessarily the werewolf biting piece, but
it's like a lot of bite references in this one.
Could be. I don't know. Go on one of those true crime Reddits and throw out your theory.
Oh God, Lisa, don't.
We're gonna solve this, guys. We're gonna solve it.
We're gonna solve. You're just gonna say like some person's name, like some like random person Texarkana.
We're gonna get a call from the Texas Rangers. Like,
the Texas.
What do you know?
I mean, so I guess, in terms of like talking about movies that inspired this, I mean, you obviously got your Friday the 13th part 2, right? With the sack over the head, Stranger, sack over the head, Blair Witch Project. They actually said, the co-directors of that said that they were influenced by this. I almost got when Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island, when she made it to the house, that was almost exactly the beginning, Drew Barrymore from Scream, except she lived, but it was almost a very similar scene. But I think they kind of tweaked it, but it was very close. Go around the house, run around the front, looking for the killer. She obviously traveled farther, but then actually gets saved. There was a lot of you can see a lot of influence from this, and again, you're right in the early 70s. You already had Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw, giallo movies from Italy, right? I don't think a lot of people in the U.S. were seeing those, but they were definitely doing a lot of the same stuff. But this is definitely a little bit more influential than maybe people would know. I don't think this one gets the credit that Texas Chainsaw or Black Christmas gets.
Oh, nowhere near it.
Yeah, which is crazy because, and I hadn't seen this movie for a long time, so it was great rewatching it. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot more influential than its pedigree, for sure. This is a good one, and I'm not gonna lie, if I'm gonna go true crime, Mitch, and I'm not a huge true crime person at all, but if I'm gonna go true crime, give me a narrator all day. That narrator, it was like an old Dragnet episode. It was amazing. Like, just give me the info, go down, and then people are getting stabbed with trombones. I mean, that's
giving it that documentary feel.
I loved it. That's the way to do a true crime that I like, for sure. It was really good. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so the ending of this movie is they've got him cornered. They're chasing him down in this open field. And I mean, they're just like wild west shooting under trains.
Dude, the gunshots under the train. First of all, if this is real life, the ricochet from that would have like murdered them 100 times. They shot like 1,000 bullets under a moving train that's made of metal.
That's great. Yeah.
You're gonna get ricochets, 1,000 ricochets all over the place. But they shot him through that, which was amazing. And I said that the most competent cop there, the local guy, from Texarkana, he's the one who just like stood up instead of like sneaking. He just like stood up and like, hey, serial murderer, here I am. How's it going? Let him see him. That Texas Ranger is supposed to be like the best one ever. Misses a very close shot.
Yeah.
Is this are Texas Rangers overrated? Is that what I should be gathering from this movie? I mean, that guy was the best. That guy was the best one. Like,
Walker wouldn't have missed that shot, I think.
Yeah, it was like Mr. Texas Ranger, more likely. But he was like, he was the best one of the Texas Rangers. They had the FBI. They said they had in the movie. It said they had 9 different kind of police or adjacent organizations with cops in the area. Right, they were really patrolling, going for it. The FBI is involved, but no, they leave the case to this Texas Ranger. Was that a mistake? Is my question. Do we think this guy was good?
Solved other cases in other places, though. Yeah. He wasn't just like a random guy.
Yeah, and I think
no, he's not. But I'm saying Texas. You're letting the Texas Rangers, and Texarkana is half in Arkansas and half in Texas. You're letting the Texas side take over. I don't know. That seemed like a bad move based on this movie. But
I don't know. And even then, I mean, if the FBI, I don't think was ever fully equipped to deal with this stuff like they were until much later when they started actually interviewing all these. Like,
I guess this was
murderers.
1946. That's true.
They didn't really start actually like interviewing and even coining the term serial killer until like early 70s or so. I mean, it was certainly Marilyn Manson, had gotten arrested, which is much later. So I don't know that. I mean, I don't know what the FBI was going to extra do. I think they were probably Texas Ranger probably as good as like Lisa said. I think they already solved similar cases. Different.
Okay, all right, Texas Rangers. Dang.
Yeah, I don't know. Do any other states have other I don't know. The Texas Ranger is such a
Kevin, is there?
It's like a mythological creature.
There's the New York Rangers, but they're a little bit different, obviously, than the Texas Rangers.
Didn't the Texas Rangers have to do with apprehending Henry Lee Lucas, the serial killer from The Portrait of a Serial Killer? Remember that big movie? The serial killer Henry Lee Lucas that went on that tail of that 70s, 80s serial killer spread. And I think the Texas Rangers were the ones who apprehended him. Yeah. Every time I always think of the Texas. Right. Yeah. I think Texas Rangers got Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole, his partner, who's the other serial killer.
Oh, and that guy was in jail in Huntsville, which is just north of here.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. So I think of I was just watching a document again, freaking Netflix or Hulu. I can't remember which one it was, but I saw, new serial killer special, John Wayne Gacy. I'm going to watch it. But yeah, I remember they were just talking about Texas Rangers a couple of weeks ago on that special I was watching about Henry Lee Lucas. And I think they had to do with apprehending. I think they call those guys in when the regular police department is failing or needs help or whatever. But and obviously depending on the jurisdiction. But no, here in New York, we just have good old fashioned detectives and crime, the Crime Division Bureau. It depends on they have the Street Gang Bureau, like any other city. They have the Street Gang Division. They have the White Collar Crime Division and stuff like that. But no, I don't remember any. I think they could send Rangers down here if they have to apprehend somebody on a warrant or something who's from the South who fleed to New York. I think they send Rangers down here. That would be the only reason I think a Ranger would be in New York, is to apprehend someone who came from their way and they're trying to apprehend them down here.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I know in Walker, Texas Ranger, they had Sammo Hung from from China or from Hong Kong be in some episodes to help apprehend people. So I feel like you're correct. I feel like you could go across state lines, no problem.
God, I forgot about Henry Lee Lucas.
Yeah, Henry Lee Lucas. Yeah,
that was Michael Rooker, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but the real story of him is even more the story. And then he was claiming he didn't do anything in the end, which was really.
Yeah, Mitch. You know what? After we were mentioning all these movies, I think you made some good choices. So thank you for. I didn't think.
I'm hoping to get a round 2 at some point, but I'll have to really think about what. Kevin Monster and Henry Portrait of a.
Kevin was mentioning, we go back and forth every episode. I'm like, we don't want to do that. why are you giving Mitch ideas? This is a mistake. Yeah. Lisa, every third movie from Lisa. I mean, it's going to be.
Yeah, there's only so many.
Can we please do that?
Yeah, why not? Mix it up a little bit.
I get one every 6 months, maybe.
6 months, jeez.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So we don't ever know who it is. We do see some feet in the line. Presumably,
there's a lot of feet.
The killer came to watch the movie.
Yes,
maybe.
He did. He went to see one.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Or those are popular shoes. I don't know how many different brands of shoes they had in the 40s.
What do you think he had? You think he had the large butter popcorn, or do you think that maybe he had maybe got a good and plenty or something? What do you think?
This person's a psycho. They're doing some sort of weird candy mix.
He's probably taking the good and plenty and dumping it into the popcorn.
Exactly. That's like
lunatic.
Some sort of travesty.
It's a lunatic. Yeah. That's what lunatics do.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I brought my own venison to the movie. Thanks. that kind of a guy.
Venison? Oh my god.
Who knows?
Imagine getting thrown out of a movie. The usher catches you eating venison in the movie. That's terrible.
But then before that is I just gotta say this: the bayou is just the worst. Bayous are terrible.
Bayous sound
the dogs. They couldn't track them. Just in general, the water doesn't move. They flood easily. We know that from
a lot of mosquitoes. A lot of mosquitoes. A lot of calamine lotion. You need a lot of calamine lotion.
Nothing good comes from a bayou. Like if Mitch goes, "Oh yeah, I'm going down to the bayou later," I'm like, "Did something happen? What happened? I don't understand why you're going there."
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Exactly. It's like what's like some sort of what's the meth lab? That's
so like a bayou. But what about a bog? Nothing good comes from a bog.
No, bogs are bad. Bogs, bayou,
creeks. What about creeks? Creeks aren't good either. Right?
Actually, we canoed down a creek and actually one of our friends tipped over last week.
Oh, see, creeks just brings bad news.
Yeah, and then all the water from the rain dumped, and we almost got swept into the Gulf. So
it wasn't that bad.
Hey,
and I would say,
you almost got swept into the Gulf. My God,
it wasn't.
I would say stay home, but now this guy's killing people in their houses. So where are you safe?
You're not safe anywhere.
Never. Go to the movies. Go to the movies. Go to the movies. He didn't do anything. That's the best.
But didn't he knows you're a lone killer. Kill people in the movies. He stabbed someone through the back of his seat. So yeah, you're not even safe in the movies.
Oh, Kev.
Okay.
Well, guess we won't be going to the movies. Thanks, Kev.
Yeah.
Guess I'll go ahead and cancel that reservation I had.
I mean, it was 1981, but yeah.
Hey, yeah. Look, 40s. Look, of all the three killers we've talked about, I mean, the only one that maybe is still alive is Zodiac, and that's a hard maybe.
And he'd be super senior.
Very old. Yeah, at this point. Yeah. So.
Although, I mean, yeah, they found, I mean, who was it? Lisa, the documentary we watched.
Killer.
The Golden State Killer was super old.
Oh, yeah. They got
him too. So
that was who had a hand in that? Patton Oswalt's wife, right?
Yep. McNamara. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, Nate, you made it through True Crime Month, Unsolved May-Steries.
Save the best for last. Feels good.
We said, yeah. Why don't we get into the final cut?
Final cut.
Nate, would you like the honors?
I always go first.
You don't always go first. Fine.
I'm gonna go not first.
All right, Lisa, how about you? Why don't you go first?
I gotta set the bar.
Good Lord, have mercy. So,
Mitch, this is your neck of the woods.
I'll go first. Okay, it's fine. Okay. It was okay. I did not expect the comic relief, which now I'm gonna have to watch his other movie just to see that one. So that was interesting because it gets scary, but then that takes you out of it a little bit, which for me is a good thing, right? For an unsuspecting victim, you don't get too scared.
So we mentioned Legend of Boggy Creek. There's a Legend of Boggy Creek 2 that he did, where he's like the comic relief in the movie. It was so terrible, it was like on Mystery Science Theater. It's like one of the worst.
And he hated that movie. Charles B. Pierce hated that.
So that could be your second movie with him. That could be.
There you go.
Yeah,
that sounds good. So I mean, I don't know. Zodiac was good. From Hell had Johnny Depp, so you know my score on that one.
No, were there any hot people in this one? Not really. There was 29-year-olds dating 17-year-olds. So
I don't know.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Show us your face, brother. That's what we don't know what the Phantom looked like.
I thought he might take off the mask to do the trombone move, but no, he's like, I can get enough air, through the mask. So
no, it's even creepier when he leaves the mask on.
It was.
Mask. It's probably middle of the road for me. I'll probably give it a 5 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate one good thing about it. I think most of these movies are made for way too much money. So I appreciate a movie that was made for very little money and still did well.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this movie. I'm gonna give this movie 7 out of 10.
Oh,
trombone stabs. Outside of the Benny Hill nonsense, which to some degree, I mean, admittedly, to some degree, especially for like super horror fans, if you're just like watching this movie, that could take it out for you, right? Because it just it tonally doesn't make any sense. It's like
there are 5 to 10 car-based gags in this movie.
So many gags.
There's so many gags in this movie.
Like it's like, guys, y'all know people are dead, right? Everyone's aware we have dead people, right? It's
no. I gotta yell at this lady for her dog.
There's a drag scene where the police officers are all dressed up to pretend like they're on dates and everything to try to lure them out, and a lot of jokes about that. Which, look, it's funny. Just timing's kind of a weird, like it's a very weird like addition into the movie. So points off for that. But I mean, the scenes with the Phantom Killer are truly scary. And I think what really scares me more, I think the fact that it's a gun doesn't diminish it. And I think the fact that, again, the way he moves, he moves like an actual person who is trying to kill people, not as like stalking. We're so used to like slashers that are like just like
behemoth.
That are just like this automaton that just like is on a single-minded pursuit to just kill and nothing really stops it. You don't get that from him. This is just someone who's just like is just a psycho and is trying to kill people. It's a great movie. It's very easy to understand why it has inspired so much. So
yeah, All right, so Kevin, what would you give this movie out of 10?
I'll probably give it 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, because I think the fact that it made, almost 5 times what it cost. And you're talking about an average of $3.50 a ticket back then too. Very, very cheap movies back in the early 70s. Sometimes movies were $2. So that's pretty big profit to make for that movie. And they never really star power in it. I mean, some of the people that had in the movies were past their prime. And, you find people like that to be in movies like that. And then if you have a hit, great. But I think it influenced a lot from Friday the 13th. Other slasher films that definitely influenced. I think The Killer was great. Again, the guy is not a notable actor or anything. I think he was a stuntman, like they usually did with a lot of these guys. They put on the masks. Yeah. And I just thought his eyes and his breathing portrayed just terror, that he was an insane person. And how someone like that could even mingle and mix in the town folk. Like, how does a lunatic like that, get away with it? And the fact that they never really caught the guy. They think, by the way, we should say that there were people that they had as suspects, heavily regarded as suspects. One guy they even questioned over and over again, and they pretty much fingered him for the guy, but never could really put him away for it. But the whole thing, I think the concept of being vulnerable, being in a town where everybody knows everybody, I think people in the city can appreciate that too. Even though we don't know that kind of living in the city, we find that to be terrifying. Again, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to go. The houses are so far apart. And being out with your girlfriend or boyfriend, and you're not on defense. You're not, no one goes out for the night to a dance or to Lover's Lane expecting to fight for their life. They're looking to have a good time, literally. So I think that's what these guys preyed upon. Son of Sam too. People at their most vulnerable, who are in the heat of passion at the moment with a significant other, and they're not going to put up much of a fight. They're not prepared to put up a fight. So I think that's the frightening thing about it. And I think the psychological thing, I look more in those movies of a psychological effect. The goofy thing, if you watched Legend of Boggy Creek, you will see that Charles Pierce has a tendency to pepper in a dopey song or some sort of banjo deliverance moment that, like, what is Pierce doing here with the guy singing in the Bigfoot movie? What is this here? But he claims that those are real town folks that he used, and showing that in a small town, there is that kind of levity, even during crazy times, that there's a bunch of wacky but fun people in the town, even though it's a frightening situation. The town people are just being the town people. So that's, again, I think there's a realism to it. And I was reading something by his daughter, who said where her father got his inspirations from. She said, real people. They weren't even actors. Most of the people in my father's films were not actors. They weren't actors. You could tell, by the way. Some of them were not. Well, some of them were pretty good.
In Boggy Creek, he just interviewed people from the town.
Exactly. Movie made $20 million. I mean, again, I think people just like to know that there's not only that there's a possibility of this, but this actually exists. Not because it's any kind of cool, but it's frightening to know that this is the reality for some people. And I think the fact that someone gets away with that, I don't know if they ever really get away with it, because my thought process of killers like that is that they wind up being incarcerated for another crime, or didn't get busted on that crime, but they're serving time somewhere. I have this feeling the Phantom Killer wound up going away for another crime that he moved to another state and committed. That actually goes on a lot. And now with the new technology of fingerprint and FBI, and obviously with all sorts of different databases that they have people's information in. I mean, even from a slither of hair, as you guys know, from a fingerprint, now they can track you around the world. Back in the 40s, my God, you get away with murder literally for 50 years. I mean, you know how many people got away with literal murder, robbing a store, shooting the clerk, never captured. So I think that was the fascination back then. In the 70s, that was still going on until someone figured, hey, we should put cameras in here and pick people up. But technology is what has changed the game for serial killers. I mean, you don't even hear, I mean, I'm sure there's still some of them out there, but obviously now it's almost impossible to get away with kidnappings and doing stuff like that. So this was at a time where this is how you frightened America, was these kind of small town things of being vulnerable. Someone could come up, shoot, kill you. So I give this, again, it was because Charles Pierce, I think, was kind of considered kind of a wacky, he wasn't considered in that echelons. You know what I mean? I'm sure he was considered like low budget guy. I'm sure
he wasn't like a.
Yeah, I'm sure Francis Ford. Yeah,
he wasn't like that. Yeah.
Toby, but those guys got a shot at the mainstream, where Charles Pierce never really got. He did have something to do with some of Clint Eastwood's movies as a writer, set guy, but he wasn't a director of any major motion picture with any major star in it. So he was always kind of like the little engine that could kind of guy. But he certainly made a lot of money out of those two pictures, Boggy Creek and Town That Dreaded Sundown. But overall, I think it's underrated. And anybody I've showed it to, this is a movie that I always recommend to people. I talked about recommending Zodiac. Someone's like, I want a good like mystery killer. I don't want to see a monster or anything like that. Something that I'm like, oh, Town That Dreaded Sundown or Zodiac. So it's funny that you guys, I had no idea you were going to bring up Zodiac. And I just recommended that the other day to someone who wanted to see a good murder mystery, but not a monster movie. Yep. And not a not he has worms coming out of the it's Jason under the mask. He looks like Skeletor. Like I want to see like a true, so I said, like a true crime. And ironically, I was telling, and when this drops, I'll let her know to check it out, because she wanted to hear the show. And I'd said, she's like, yeah, those 70 movies are kind of dopey. I'm like, nah, this is scary. It's not like
70s is the best.
I think the 70s is definitely the best. I think it's again, because they always saw the cops as these bumbling stumble bums who couldn't solve anything, and it was frustrating. And it kind of, by the way, did appear to be that case in many of the cases. That's why Henry Lee Lucas was on the run for 20 years throughout the 70s and 80s, and finally got caught in the mid 80s. So he started out in the early 70s. Listen, cops didn't have the technology back then. It was a lot of, ringing doorbells and making phone calls. And
if you watch Zodiac, it's like I gotta put like 100 phone calls into like
that's
police precincts that are like 2 towns over, and I can't get any information.
Yeah.
I mean, you needed
disadvantage.
And you depended on like these dime dropper snitch types, like who would knew what was up. Someone who was in the inner city who knew the people who were bad people. But in a rural area, in a town, who are you going to really go to? Even though they always say that people in the town always know who the bad people in the town are, or who could possibly be this kind of, abuser, or who could be the possible killer. Because it's kind of hard that, everybody knows everything about everybody. That's what they say. But again, I think this film in the annals of history doesn't get the proper credit. Maybe because also, by the way, what was the actual rating on this film when it was in the movies? Was it G, or am I imagining that?
No, it just said approved.
What does that even mean?
It was just like, it was very basic. It's like, hey, is this terrible? Nope. All right.
Okay, because Boggy Creek was rated G, and that's what I always found interesting too.
Yeah, that one was. Yeah, it was like, I think this rated R didn't exist. I don't think.
Right. I'm not sure about that, because I think The Godfather was in the early 70s, and that was rated R. So I think the rating system did kick in. I'm not sure about that in the early 70s, but regardless, I think people look at Town That Dreaded Sundown as like, but is it scary? I'm like, yeah, it's scary. It's like, oh, what's it rated? Everyone always asks me that. I'm like, if it was out today, I would say it would be rated R, wouldn't it? With the kills, wouldn't you say that if that movie came out today?
Yes. Trombone stab. Sure. That's an R for sure. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be R? So again, everyone who saw it would say it's good. But some people would say, I don't get the ending. So he was on the run and he got away and they couldn't track him. Like, no, actually, I don't believe I think that scene was embellished with the shooting on the train track. I don't think that actually happened. I think that was embellished. Again, so I think there's no payoff for the movie in the end, but that's the whole point. The guy, it's a true story. It got away with it, and they left you thinking, oh, this guy is still out there. Look, it's in the tagline in the movie. Today, he still lurks in the town of Texarkana, Arkansas. They didn't need to update it because they never caught him. Saying, unless someone scratched it out, caught in 1987. Right. We got him. So again, the remake, I was very disappointed, but I thought they could probably do something pretty cool with this concept, with the look of the killer and stuff. And it was really a bullshit movie that I saw. Matter of fact, I think I saw it on Stars or Showtime or something like that. And I went right back to the old one. And I'll give it 8 out of 10 just for influence and doing so much with so little. And still being effective, almost like Halloween when you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I guess so. For me, I got to give a shout out to Bud Davis. He was the stunt person who was the killer, right? His last stunt coordination thing and last credit was Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, wow. He's around that long.
Wow. He did Mitch's favorite movie, Thinner. I know that's one of your favorites, Mitch. You don't even deny it.
Is that Stephen? That's Stephen King.
Stephen King, yeah.
The guy who loses all the way with the Indian who touches him.
Yep. He did Kevin Castle. You can get into this one. Naked Gun 2.5. The Smell of Fear.
I got to talk about that next week. So I'll make
exactly. Yeah, perfect. He did Child's Play, Shecky, and he did a couple episodes of stunt coordination for the TV show Red Shoe Diaries. So that is quite a star-studded affair. That's one of the most. So it must have been
in the movie. For some reason, I thought Bud Davis might have been like a middle-aged man at the time playing that role. He must have.
He was 40 when the movie came out, but he kept cranking it and he's still alive. So there you go.
He's still alive.
Yeah. So I guess in terms of the movie, it's real good. This is by far my favorite. I wasn't a huge fan of Zodiac. It was so well made, but it didn't hook me. I didn't care for it. This one did. I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10. Lock your doors.
Nice.
Because when you're making out with someone, lock the door. What's the downside? There's no downside. Upside, don't get murdered as fast. Downside, they open your car door and you get pulled out and you get clubbed. So don't do that.
Just bring another couple with you. Like I'll just, you stay in your car. We're
like a front seat, back seat.
Yeah,
front seat, back seat.
And I would say, pull the curtains. Why do people have the curtains wide open at night? I don't get that.
That's what I was. Just drop the curtain. I guess because you're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's like, what's the?
Yeah, but coyotes
are coming. That's
you want raccoons sitting there mocking you. You don't want that.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. And it's crazy. But this movie's good. This was good. I had seen it a while ago, but I had forgotten a lot of it, to be fair. So this was like seeing it new again, and it was very good. I was on Mitch on our Reddit account talking on the horror subreddit talking about what's the best decade for horror movies, and people were like, oh, the 80s, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. The 70s is by far the best. For me, the 70s is when movies started getting like dangerous. You know what I mean? You start seeing Texas Chainsaw. You start seeing, Giallo movie. Don't even get me started about Giallo movies. Amazing stuff. Halloween. These are all independent films.
70s
that are coming out. This is when things started getting like
Assault on Precinct 13 was
heightened. Like things started getting like Last House on the Left. Things started getting more dangerous. Hills Have Eyes. Things started getting more dangerous feeling. Like people are in peril. Before that,
even the action movies, the Warriors. Yeah, the Warriors was 79. Even the gang films and Death Wish. When you think about Death Wish series,
things started getting. More violent.
I lived through it. I was a little kid back then, but I lived through it.
This is the decade for me when horror movies started getting really good. Not to even mention, things like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Alien, Jaws, a million things, right? This is right up in kind of the annals, maybe not the very top tier, but right below that top tier of being a really good movie. And so, this is definitely highly recommended from me to go back and see kind of one of the progenitors of the slasher films and see how influential it was. It was really good. So
awesome. Well, that's going to wrap up Unsolved May-Steries. Nate, you did it. Proud of you.
I did it. Yes.
We'll be back on whatever bullshit you have next month.
Hey, we got new movie. We got new movies in the theaters. Come on, are you kidding me now?
We got to check out.
We get to go to a movie. We're vaccinated.
We got to check out Spiral. We need to check out a lot of
stuff. Anything you guys are all in agreement on to go see first? Anything like you're really chomping at the bit to go see right now?
Well, Mitch and I, after we got vaccinated, saw Mortal Kombat. We don't care.
Did that come with the vaccination? The ticket to that?
No, it didn't. It should have, but it didn't.
Oh.
No, but Spiral. Conjuring.
Quiet Place.
Conjuring.
Quiet Place 2.
Quiet Place 2 and Conjuring are the two. I'm looking forward to Candyman 2, but A Quiet Place 2 in theaters is going to be. That's. I'm excited to be in a theater to see that one. Conjuring 2, just looks like it's going to be a great movie. And it's also based on a true event.
That's right. That's one
Nate hates the Conjuring films. Can't wait.
I don't like them.
Oh, for real? You don't like them? I actually enjoy them.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I think those Warren people are all bullshit.
Of course they are. Of course they are. That's why they try to charge me and my band $50 a person to go see their bullshit Annabelle Museum. I'm like, yeah,
like
you know,
fifth generation Raggedy Ann dolls. Like,
we're
this
on,
could murder you.
Yeah,
$100.
Yeah, we're on tour. I mean, we're probably gonna die at some point soon anyway. Can we just like get like a discount possession? You know, $50 the Warrens.
Discount. Hey, can you possess him like for less money than
$50? The Warrens themselves better come back from the dead and exercise us. You know,
where was that?
I was over. I guess what was it near kind of near Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Pennsylvania?
No, it wasn't in Pennsylvania. It was somewhere over in the East Coast when we were on that part of the tour. I'm trying to remember specifically where.
I'll look it up for you. Don't.
I'm looking at the war. It's in Connecticut. Yeah.
Oh, Connecticut. Okay.
Because there was a few stretches on the tour we were on where we were bouncing in and around like the same region for it's just the way the dates worked out. But yeah, we tried to head over there. And then they were like, yeah, $50 a person.
You guys played New York on that tour, right?
Yes, we did. We played it was at Amityville. We played at the
Revolution.
Yeah, Revolution.
Oh yeah, they closed. They went out of business until COVID. They permanently shut down. The owner was trying to collaborate with the owner of my former club to try and open up a new club together, but I don't think it worked out.
That sucks. That was a cool venue. Yeah, we played there. We played at place in Jersey, right on like the beach. The something Pony.
The Stone Pony.
Yeah, Stone Pony. Yep.
That's famous club where Bon Jovi and Bruce Springsteen started out.
Yeah, we played there, so that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, no, that's an epic. I don't think that club will ever close. I think if they tried to close it, Bon Jovi or Bruce would probably buy it themselves.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, look, y'all, everyone listening, if you haven't already, do go and subscribe. Check out Castle and Chicky Podcast Adventures. Yes. You can hear more Kev there, and you can, hear besides wrestling stuff. Because let's be real, not a whole lot really to talk about wrestling stuff.
No, horror movies, comedies, everything from, like I said, throwback stuff back in the day, and talk on modern movies and modern times.
Yeah, if you need your wrestling fix, send your questions to Nate. You can send them at texaspodcastmassacre@gmail.com. I'll make Nate watch whatever you're asking about, so he can give you an informed answer.
I'm just gonna say he was jobbed, and that's it. That's
that might be just fine for most of the questions.
All I know is that wrestling people let a lot of people go who were good, and they kept people who were bad. That's all I got from Mitch's general thoughts. So that's all my wrestling takes.
Yeah. Well.
I think that's probably in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, look.
We're so bad at this. Yeah.
You join us. Send us an email. You can message us at TX Pod Massacre on Twitter, Texas Podcast Massacre everywhere else. And then, of course, we have our voicemail line. Call us 346-246-3143. You can yell wrestling things at Nate. Nice. I mean, look, if we're not going to do any more true crime, Nate, you got to at least throw me the wrestling.
You should ask Lisa. Lisa knows more than I do.
But it's not fun. It's more fun to mess with you, Nate, with this. Lisa is just, I mean, it's not quite, what is it?
It's more
Stockholm.
It's like
I'm not an unsuspecting victim with wrestling. I know too much.
Yeah, she's happy to talk about Drew McIntyre for an hour or so, but
what about his abs? How are his abs?
Did you order the book already?
Yeah, well, I got a notice about an Amazon order.
Prime shipping. All right, here we go.
All right, Kev, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
And from all of us here at Texas Podcast Massacre, thank you so much for tuning in, and just keep telling yourself it's only a movie. Good night.